Substance abuse is part of it. You're taking substances to kind of drown out the static to get a little bit of peace, and you have to do more and more of those substances over time because your tolerance
Yep.
increases. I'm kind of fast forwarding in life to have a little bit, looking at things from a different optic, with the situation that I'm in. And it's kind of cool because, again, it's perception. Everything's about perception's reality. And the way that I look at it is I'm like, oh no, woe is me. I look at it as it's an opportunity. The opportunity for me when I'm talking to these young kids, I'm like, I'm going to lose my train of thought on this. But like, if you want something, you just got to go get it. I had a good point I was going to make, but I just totally spaced out. Hashtag TBI.
Well, let's take that opportunity to set the deck, like I was saying a little bit ago,
Yeah.
because for people that didn't see episodes 136 and 137, where you laid out a lot of your military career and then also the battle you've been in, you've touched on it throughout the day. But as you said, you were diagnosed with cancer in 2019, very rare kind of cancer that I believe everyone you serve with in one of your units is either dead or has cancer right now, meaning you guys were subjected to some sort of substance over there in Iraq.
Yeah, it was there was just a very, initially when it started coming out, I didn't fully believe in it because, things happen in life. But yeah, it was a very large number within the people that, especially that I was in Iraq with. Of course, I served in different places. So there's a lot of bad things from an environmental, standpoint. And we were doing some things around substances that were highly not good for you, toxic. Um, so yeah, like even out of the initial 30 of us is a huge number. I don't know the exact number, but I probably lost, I just went to another funeral like 2 months ago.
Mm.
Most SEALs, Green Berets, took care of themselves, all dying under 50, like 40 and under in the kind of their peak. And brain cancer, pancreatic cancer. We've had five guys that I know die of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, which is
You're
weird.
getting ALS?
Yeah, five
I
guys.
don't know anything about how that
So
develops.
I
But
think some of that might be attributed to being around blasts, right? So you have micro tears in the brain. So if you're door breaching, for example, and those cumulative effects of blasts has an impact on your brain, which can lead, to neurological disease and things like that. But the amount of cancers, if you're just in the military, you're 50% more likely to have colon cancer, just regular military. So when you get into people that are door breaching, you're using explosive breaching, you're shooting. Some of the weapon systems that we use are definitely proven to have massive impacts on your brain, and but also just being around depleted uranium, the environment that you're in a war setting lends itself to a high degree of cancers.
it's
And
amazing.
you
It's so
know,
sad.
so it's the amount of people were just staggering. And then we also had a high degree of suicide too. I known a lot of so if you look at the 22 day statistic, I just read an article on the plane again in Psychology Journal on the way here. What doesn't get counted into that when you talk about 17 to 22, it kind of fluctuates a little bit here and there, but you also have overdoses, right? Which is self-inflicted. It doesn't get put into that category because a lot of us do go use substances for various reasons. For myself, it was the sleep. I drank myself to sleep. Because I couldn't sleep for about 13 years. Maybe get 2 or 3 hours if I'm lucky, but I hadn't had a dream. I just recently had a week where the first time in nearly it's over 13 years, I've had 1 week of dreams, and
Wow.
because I'm actually sleeping now, like through the night, and it was
What
wild, bro.
what was stopping you from sleeping for all those years? Just the thought, intrusive
Substances
thoughts.
impacted that, but I just couldn't fall asleep. Like in 2011, I was on Ambien for 2 years to make myself sleep. But then I was doing Roseanne Barr stuff, like sending emails out at 3 in the morning because I would stay up. Like I wouldn't go to sleep and lock my door so I wouldn't go do weird things. And that was pretty wild. But substance abuse is part of it. You're taking substances to kind of drowned out the static to get a little bit of peace. And you have to do more and more of those substances over time because your tolerances
Yep.
increases. So next thing you know, you have legal situations happen or domestic or whatever the things are. You're not present in life. But yeah, going back to that, it's just a massive amount of my close friends have died from cancers or again like Lou Gehrig's and things like that. It statistically is off the chart, and it's probably like 70% of the people
That's
in my group.
nuts. Well, you had laid out last time about specifically after your service when you were in the contracting business, and what was it you guys were doing? Were you doing armored vehicles? Was that right? Did I make that
Yeah,
up?
after I got out, yeah.
Yeah, so after
Still
you
in the
got out of
community.
CIA and Special Forces, you were doing that, and you mentioned today as well your partner John Zinn died under very mysterious circumstances in Jordan, and then you went. I guess that was 2014. So you went through years of horrible, suicidal thoughts because of that and everything. And then you get diagnosed with cancer in 2019. You also mentioned how by the beginning of 2022, you were then officially diagnosed stage 4. You had part of your lung removed. Obviously, your whole leg is basically like a metal rod. And yet, somehow, you are still here. You still look amazing. And I told you this in December 2022. I said, you're going to be sitting there
I was questioning
in
it
a
at
couple
the time.
years.
I thought you were full of shit.
And it was like 18. We're 18 months later, and you're sitting here looking even better than last time. And you've managed to turn your own story and time that you have left that you seem to keep extending because of all the work you put in the gym and your no excuses attitude. But you've managed to turn that into trying to, as you've laid out today, help so many other veterans who are going through the things that are still thoughts in your head, right? When you're dealing with that PTSD, you're dealing with those difficult, intrusive thoughts, if you will, that lead you a long way. Like, how do you keep the presence of mind to dedicate your whole life to things like that when you do kind of live with at any moment the death knell that can come and suddenly like, oh, all right, it totally metastasized. You got a week to live.
Yeah, grit, man. I think finding a purpose, man. That was what I was my loss of thought earlier was with young people. I tell them, you got to find something that you're passionate about. It takes you time. When you find something you're passionate about, you typically, in my case, the money's not going to come with it. I don't care. My payment is through other veterans that come back and they're like, hey, bro, I was not a good father. I wasn't a good husband. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some help. Dude, that payment to me is like means the world to me, man. And having those friendships where I can see these men and women getting better, like, dude, that's all the payment, but it's the most rad thing I've ever done. And that's what I tell young people where I lost my train. It was like, it might take you a couple career changes to find it. Don't chase money. Like, money's great, but it's not fulfilling. And to answer your question is the purpose. Finding a purpose in life that fulfills you. That's what lacks when people transition out of the military. The problems that they have often is they lose that sense of purpose. And for me, I always wanted to protect other people, in some capacity. That's why I got an executive protection for the last 4 or 5 years after running 3 defense companies. When I got out, I was lacking that. Yeah, I was making good money, making life-saving materials that were serving men and women that were still doing it. So I had that purpose. But I wanted to do more. And this was like the ultimate one because if I can, be a force multiplier, that's what gets me up in the morning, man. I love, like, even Saturdays and Sundays, I work 7 days a week. Most of this year, I've been working 7 days a week. I take care of myself. I get in the gym, self-care, all that stuff. I'm going to go on vacation for the first time, with my wife next month. I'm stoked about that. Just kind of,
Where are you going?
We were originally looking at Greece, and she wanted to go to some island, but then we found out it might be exceptionally hot, and it takes a long time to get there, and this and that. So we kind of shifted, just like, hey, let's do something laid back. I think we're going to go to probably St. Thomas. We're going to book something this week, but St. Thomas, and we're looking at Grand Canyon too, just to unplug,
Yeah.
kind of what we're talking about. Get a little bit of break. Just, focus on us and our relationship and things like that. That's super healthy. But yeah, I get fired up, dude, about the work that we're doing though, and that's kind of, if anybody gets anything from the podcast, it's like, dude, find something that you're truly passionate about, man, that gets you fired up, and it's not work. And typically, you get rewarded for that because you're going to be successful because it's just going to come. You're going to work harder. You're going to actually enjoy it. You're going to be pleasant to be around. You know, I don't know if I'm always pleasant to be around, but I try to be, man.
You are with me.
But yeah, I just that to me is a key, of where I'm at in phase of life was like, dude, I want to do this literally until I die. God willing, man, I keep doing good things and making good business decisions and things like that. That's what I plan to do. And I would like to get this, like, we're doing an event in November called Enough. We're working with 2 Medal of Honor recipients. We're gonna have 2 teams walk from North Carolina, or South Carolina, from the north to the south. Another team, a couple teams south to north, converge at USC Stadium and have these guys hand the game ball off, in front of, like, I don't know, 80,000, get on Fox and
cool.
Friends and things like that, and just get the word out, and it's cool doing these events because you're around these exceptional people. These are the people that I idolize. I think everybody idolizes different people. I like I said earlier, I don't idolize like celebrities and people that are, unless they're really good dudes. But these people's stories, these Medal of Honor recipients, like, dude, I look up to these guys like, holy, like, I'm not worthy to be in your presence, and they're all kind of cuts from the same cloth. Just everyday people. A lot of these guys are just small country boys. They got a lot of humility. They're like, they almost don't want these types of, the attention that comes with their actions, because one of the guys that I was looking at jumped on a hand grenade, and I told my friends, I said, look, I can imagine doing a lot of things, but Kyle Carpenter was one of the guys that had jumped on a hand grenade and crazy. Imagine a hand grenade comes up on the roof and you're with your unit and you just make the decision. I'm like, dude, I think I would pick it up. I thought through the process, right? I was like, I think I'd kick it would be number one because it'll be quicker than trying to bend over to pick it up. But to have the presence of mind to, like, jump on it, almost without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And like everything else I can envision doing myself, like, taking a bullet for a friend, 100%, I wouldn't even think about it. But a hand grenade is just so violent. And, Kyle Carpenter was one of those individuals that laid down, his life for everybody else, and he survived. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. Those are the types of people I surround myself with, and it just elevates my game, with, like, just trying to do more. Because I'm like, you see these people when you're like, when I was watching Manhunt again, I'm thinking, man, even if I could have the biggest nonprofit in the country and I could save millions of, say thousands of, tens of thousands of people's lives, change them, get them on the right trajectory in the driver's seat of life instead of being a passenger where they feel like they're out of control, that's fucking awesome. But then I'm thinking of, like, the Lincoln, I'm like, he reshaped, the country as it is, came nearly to collapse. And we'd all be living in some weird,
Yeah. Two-state, bizarre place.
Just like, wow.
Yeah.
So it makes me want to do more. It doesn't dishearten me. It actually, I'm like, I got to work harder. Like, that's the mindset, is like, you got to take other people that inspire you and just get after it more, and try to level up, not, just be stagnant or go backwards.
Well, when you're around those guys, like those Medal of Honor recipients, like a guy who jumps on a hand grenade, which you just laid out, obviously, it's hard to even fathom doing that. But at the same time, like, what was when you were going into heat of a battle type situation during your deployments, what was your mentality as you hit the field? Was it, all right, I'm gonna go to what I know. I'm going to go to my motions, my setup, everything I've been trained to do. I am trained to be here to accomplish this task, and we're going to get this done, and hopefully we don't die, but I'm going to go with whatever happens? Or, like, is there still the constant adrenaline of, like, oh, shit, we might die? Like, are you able to separate yourself from that
Yeah, it was,
reality?
I've told people I could never do what I did in the past now because I would overthink things, right?
Mm.
I'm gonna be, I'm almost 51 years old, right? I'm an old man now, but it's not like the physical stuff like wasn't the issue ever for me.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.